Hey guys, Redmaster here, back again with another video in the tutorial series. Now the last video I received a couple of minor critiques about if I'm, missing a couple of things, what I should really be focusing on, and I appreciate those of you who gave me those critiques. It may alter how I might do some of these videos from now on, which I'll get into when we get more into the deck of what the topic is today, which of course by the thumbnail and the title, you're going to know it's about focus. So let's move into that right now, actually. We're going to find focus. Focus is right here. Now, focus, its ability itself requires you to be really next to a unit. So let's take a look at focus. Can I take a look? Okay, hold on. I gotta hover over a card, I think, to really illustrate what I'm looking to teach here. So like okay, so here it is. Focus can only be played on a target if you have a unit within one range. Now one range means just basically one space above, next to, or below. I'll get into positioning when we get into actual matches, of course. But they also are non-diagonal, which is very important if you're trying to master the focus decks. But getting onto the critiques, I was told that I should maybe concentrate on more of the deck than the actual topic. So I'm going to be illustrating basically how a Ninja Viking focus deck works. There are a couple others, Ninja Crusader, maybe Pirate Ninja. I'm not entirely sure about that one, but there are a variety of other deck types that you can do. I'll be going over the Ninja Viking today. Now to start off, I'm going to be going over my focus spells. Let's see, first one I have in here is Omega Strike. A basic damaging card, deals 4 damage, something that you want to have in case you have a weaker unit that may dish out some extra damage. Spear Strike. Spear Strike, focus, it deals 3 damage to one target and then connects through a chain of lightning towards all connected enemies. So that's like a Temple of the Five Gods sort of focus. Next, I have Eternity Strike. This is a very good sorry, I had a little thing there. Eternity Strike, what was I saying? Very good. A must include if you're going for focus decks. When you're dealing 3 damage, it deals it to all connected enemies, so it's like a more advanced Spear Strike, but that extra damage is highly worth it. And finally, in this one, I'll have Fist of the Five Gods. Basically, you're dealing 5 damage to an enemy and all connected enemies, so definitely a good powerhouse when you're in late game to push. Now, there's a couple of cards that synergize well with focus. So I forgot the word for a minute. Some of which derives from an entirely different topic, which is stealth. We'll be hitting stealth next week in a different form, but of course, stealth, you're going to need that if you want to sneak some units around to surprise them with certain cards like Focus, oh my god, like Spear Strike, Omega Strike, and Eternity Strike. Other cards that do well with Focus are the Panda, are the Panda, which reduce the cost of Focus spells by 2, so it's good if you want to get a 3 gold Eternity Strike, a 1 gold Omega Strike, a 1 gold Spear Strike. I'm going to type in here Dojo, because I didn't include Dojo in here, but you could certainly do this one. The Mystic Dojo. And it's like a building for pandas, so it gets out earlier in the game, and you have your focus spells costing much less. And finally, Secret Technique, where you're adding a random focus card to your hand, which can be derived from any of the factions. So it could be any that I have here, or some that I don't have in this deck. So let me type in focus and show you the whole broad spectrum of focus cards to choose from. Of course, I have Fist of the Five Gods, Eternity Strike, Spear Strike, and Omega Strike. Other cards I didn't include in my deck are Lightning Mace, you're dealing 3 damage. Firebomb, you're dealing 3 damage like Lightning Mace, but you're returning all friendly units to your hand. Onslaught, basically a cheaper Omega Strike in the Pirate category. Minotaur Strike, you're dealing 5 damage, so like Fist of the Five Gods, but if you have a Minotaur out, you're dealing 2 extra damage. And finally, you have Special Delivery, where you are dealing 2 damage in a 5x5 radius. So definitely a lot of focus cards to choose from when you're making a deck, but that's basically all of them. Now, another part of this deck, besides throwing in a lot of focus spells like Spear Strike and Omega Strike, are having a good, solid foundation of units, hence why this unit count is much higher than an average deck. You have your Filthy Peasants to, I should say really Filthy Peasants and the City Guards, because they basically come out with 2 units, which gives you more units to position into focus range. Darkbender, an early game range, just a nice defense to have, especially when you're running a deck like this where you're relying on some of your late game powerhouses to show up. Flying Books to draw. You could use Crumbling Archive if you have Ninja Crusaders. You definitely want to have a stockpile of cards in your hand to use at the right moment. Guardian, just because, you know, he's 3 gold and 6 health. He's a bit of a little early tank. I like to have him in there. And more towards the late game end of the spectrum, we have Kuru, the stealth utilization. Great to have him in a deck like this. Swordsman. I like his cleave. And overall, he's just a great unit in any sort of deck. And then Rune Warrior, which I have for rampage purposes if I'm a little behind or need to, or if I can punch out 6 damage, so my spells don't have to do all the work. So that's basically how a focus deck would work in terms of what you should include in the deck. So now I'm going to show you some gameplay of said deck. We're going to go to single player first, and we're going to test it against the Crusaders. So let's see. Here's my focus deck. Let's begin the battle. So, when you're starting out with a deck like this, you don't want some expensive cards, so I'm going to replace Fist. Alright, Swordsman, I want to see my focus spells. Oh, okay, perfect. Secret Technique, okay, we'll get Spear Strike in our hand. That's an okay card for early game. He'll bring out Filthy Peasant. This is what I was talking about. If you have that early game trouble, you can kind of just toss out Darkbender here. Gets rid of the Peasant. Now he's going to fall victim to the Rat, but that's alright. Alright, so that Shield Knight's coming in. Good time to throw in Kunoichi. We're going to position him right in front. Hopefully the guy attacks. Okay, he doesn't. So that's going to prone us to maybe put my Kunoichi down here. I want to get some books for drawing. We're going to leave them up here. We're going to see if they attack. Archer. Okay, so he attacked. Eternity Strike, I could use it here, but that wouldn't be too effective. Instead, I'm going to come up with this Swordsman, knock all those guys. Our books will be used there. And let's get this Kunoichi up on the base, so he'll have to make a choice between running the... Oh, okay. That's not gonna happen. But as you can see here, I'm making sure to position my units. A lot of it requires me to know where I'm putting them down. So let's get some guards out here, and we're going to move our swordsman up 1. So everything's in threatening position right now. We have an Eternity Strike, we have Spear Strike, Alright, he passes. So now we're going to unleash some of our focus spells on him. We're going to bring up a Guardian. I'm going to leave this guy out to the side. Church. A good way to get rid of this is by a little cleave action. We'll get rid of that. We'll do some of that. I mean, that about ends the game for us here. I'm going to now do a live match. I feel like those are a bit better in demonstration to do. So let's go over there and, of course, we'll get an opponent. I have my opponent here. Alright, so the battle has started. A nice opening hand. I'm going to replace that swordsman. As you can see, I'm going first, so let's see, this will be interesting. I'm going to use a secret technique and add a focus card in my hand, as you can see. I'm not going to talk about the cards I pull, as you can see here, mainly because my opponent is actually sitting across from me. So let's bring out this flying books like he's doing. Not a good position for his flying books. I feel like they're just sitting there. Let's get ours a bit more up front. Pulling out the Call to War, gets a Witch Doctor from that. That's okay. Doesn't look like he's running an undead deck, so it's nothing we need to worry about. Instead, we're going to bring up this Guardian, and we're going to trade books. As you can see, the focus cards are starting to build here. Something that I like to see. Let's bring out this Koru. He's not going to know where the Koru is. And let's just trade out for that Witch Doctor. Technically not trade out because I'm not losing my guy. So let's see what he can do. We're kind of early starting, so he brings out the blacksmith. It would help if he had another unit to go with that, but he doesn't. Let's see, this would do. Okay. So we're going to position our Koru there. We're going to smack the base, and we're going to Omega Strike that for a bit extra damage. Like I said, Omega Strike just provides some extra attack to a unit. So a lower, weaker unit like Filthy Peasant or Darkbender can utilize that. Nice play there. He now knows where Koru is. But can he counter that is the question. He cannot. Bad placement there, but he doesn't know that I have an Eternity Strike, so we're going to use that now. We're going to attack Koru there, and what benefits about Koru is that he can move after attacking, so a really good way to disorient or throw off your opponent from knowing where your Koru is at all times. Another blacksmith, not too strong there. We're going to throw out our flying books. We can't end it just yet, but let's just smack the base for a bit more damage. That's a special delivery that we pulled from the secret technique. And let's see, if he can find my Koru, he might have a chance to come back here. Takes out my books, doesn't reveal Koru. Ninja training, it's all over. Let's see, I'm just calculating some math in my head here. Okay, enough. We'll throw out our Filthy Peasants. And that's the game. So as you can see, Focus Speed can become dangerous if you have a nice established early game presence and you can stock up on those cards. Other than that, there are other varieties that I won't demonstrate here in this video. Of course, if you want to learn more about those, you could either leave your questions in the comments below, or find me on Discord. I'm always on there to just chat and just experiment with things in general. So that's about it for the focus video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put it down in the comments below. And until then, guys, I will see you next week. Until then, stay gaming.